Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Return podcast. Today we have Tony Troia.
Greetings.
Tony is a gardener, builder, beekeeper, and yogi who is propelled by one thing, beauty. He acquired a steep acre of land in Western North Carolina immediately after earning his environmental studies degree from Western State University. As a child, Tony was restless, asking, why is the world the way it is? It took decades to satisfy the question. For 17 years, Tony has experimented with a plethora of plant species and regenerative design, transforming a clay hillside into a resilient, perennial polyculture. Through sensorial learning, Tony has deepened his connection to and understanding of local ecological process. He's the co-creator of Red Sun Tea, where Camellia sinensis is hand-picked and processed into red tea. He starred in 3 seasons of National Geographic's Live Free or Die.
Yeah.
Tony, how you doing today, buddy?
Oh, I'm great, Darren. How are you doing?
Doing well, doing well. So for the listeners, Tony and I met back in college. We were youngins.
23 or 24 years ago now.
Yeah, so more than half my life, Tony has been a very
Yeah.
close friend.
Yeah.
I would consider Tony a savant in the realm of being a
Being weird.
caretaker of the earth, being weird. He's definitely being a caretaker of the earth.
That
Tony,
sounds
how would
better.
you describe yourself today?
I would probably just say artist, probably, actually. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But you're looking for probably something more specific than that? Yeah.
No, artist is great. I'm just curious what artist means to you.
Art, artist. I would be tempted to use the term mystic too, but that sounds kind of big-headed or esoteric or weird or something. So artist seems more accessible. So we'll say artist. What does artist mean to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Uh, Man, that's a good question. I mean, I'm tempted to say something as simple as one who allows one who is a conduit for beauty. Yeah. Tempted to say that. Yeah. Okay.
Beautiful.
Okay. And then also just you know, this is gonna be really ham-handed because this just came to me and I'm like, how would I actually frame this up? I'll probably refine this later. Something like using medium to get closer to the sacred, something like that. I don't know.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I dig it. The way I've
Okay.
often described an artist is one who articulates the space between relationships.
Oh man, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I like
But
that.
I like what you said too. Yeah. Yeah. So Tony, I would say, is masterful at understanding the space between relationships, specifically as I've seen it articulated and manifested at the Forest Garden, the land that you bought how
Yeah.
many years ago now?
Yeah, so we're on about 8 months shy of 2 decades. So just
Oh,
about 20 years.
just about 20 years.
Yeah.
Curious
Yeah.
if you can tell the listeners a little bit about the arc
Yeah.
of the Forest Garden and where it is now and what's happening at the
Yeah.
Forest Garden.
Yeah. This is I could talk a long time about that question, so I'll try and make it somewhat concise, get to the point. I mean, I could, as you know, run my mouth for 8 hours straight on this question. So we'll streamline it a little bit and then unpack it more as we go.
You and me both.
Yeah. Okay, so I bought it when I was, as you know, Darren, when I was 23 years old. So you and I parted ways after we graduated school. Okay, see you later, Darren. And then within 9 months of that moment, I had acquired this acre of land. I worked at a Starbucks and lived with my parents. I slept in my dad's office while I was working at a Starbucks to earn enough money for a down payment and to build credit so I could obtain a loan from a bank to buy the place. That's before the 2008 crash when they gave people like me loans. They don't do that anymore. So I get my hands on the land, and then the next question is, well, what the fuck are you going to do with it, Tony? And unbeknownst to me, when you move to a new bioregion, you need to completely relearn gardening. Okay, so I came here and tried, practices that I had used in Maryland and where that's where I did the bulk of my gardening. Maryland and Omaha, which actually those biomes are pretty similar to one another in some ways. The climates are kind of similar; they're not too different. And tried to apply the same methods, growing annuals, etc., and everything was just ravaged by pests and disease, etc. We have a lot of pests down here in southern Appalachia. I moved here during the worst drought in recorded history, so I was contending with that. The soil's really poor here. It's very old soil, so it's the phosphorus and stuff is washed out of it. So there's not much to our soil here. So it needs to be remineralized. And these are things I just really didn't know when I got a hold of the place. So I started gardening and failing. And then I read Eric Tonesmeyer's, is that his name? I think Eric Tones. Yeah, I think it's Eric Tonesmeyer and Dave Jackie. They wrote a book called Edible Forest Gardens, big, thick book. Read that and was like, this is a pretty cool idea, this forest gardening thing. I'll try this. And again, was met with a lot of failure, lots of failure. I planted everything that I thought would grow here based on like USDA zone stuff. And almost all of it died, except a few things. A few things didn't die. So that was, over the course of like a decade, I just kind of watched things fail. And then somewhere in between years 10 and 15, in that window, it was my sort of giving up at that point. I was so frustrated that I just kind of like stopped maintaining the system. It was in that pocket of time when I would say I actually started to become a good forest gardener, because it was in that that defeated state of torpor, I would describe it, where I finally was able to learn how to just shut the fuck up and just look at what's going on, right? Okay. Observe. Stop doing shit, Tony. Right? That's like serious fucking colonizer mindset. And finally develop this ability to just stop thinking so much and trying to force everything to look like what I have going on up here or what's in the pages of a book, and just start to learn what's going on in that space, that in-between space. Start to see the threads in the web of life instead of just looking at the nodes, right? Yeah. And that would have seemed completely like nutty or alien to me had I told myself that when I was 23. I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about, hippie? That doesn't make any sense. What do you mean? So it was in that pocket of time when I really started to observe what was working and started to understand that everything is relational. You can't force things. And that's when the current guild that we're working with really started to take shape, which is much more stripped down and simple than the initial guilds that I had envisioned. But simple's good. It's simple in form, but complex in relationship, right? So it's as you know, it's becoming a pretty robust system. I'm starting to make a living off of it, which is fucking cool. And it's starting to get really beautiful, anti-fragile, beautiful. And I'm getting to the point now where I can say confidently that I finally know what I'm doing a little bit. Yeah.
What are some of the guilds that you have going on right now?
Yeah. So let me give the general gestalt of the system. So one of the first things I planted when I got here was tea. And everyone was like, why are you planting tea? Do you plant apples and blueberries? Like, what's up? Tea's not going to work. And of course, the apples and blueberries died and the tea lived, right? Which isn't supposed to grow here. And I'm like, well, if tea grows here, then that's what we're going to grow. So there's a lot of tea growing here now. And that's being scaled as fast as possible, planting more and more tea because it does well on the site. Tea's okay with pretty poor soil. And then there's, so that's kind of like that's the understory of the system. So, agroforestry systems have understories and overstories. There's layers of productivity stacked on top of each other. So the the understory is tea, and then the overstory is it's a coppice or pollard overstory of mulberry, and it's a mulberry selection. Most of it is a mulberry selection that I made that my friend named Sleeping Beauty. So it's a cultivar, and I'm grafting Sleeping Beauty onto a lot of mulberry seedling rootstock that I've grown here, and that produces fruit, produces shade, which the tea and the tea pickers enjoy, and unbeknownst to a lot of people, mulberry leaves are almost as high as alfalfa in protein. I mean, it's a plant by plant dependent. Some plants are higher in protein than others, but yeah. So that's being used to feed. That's being used to feed rabbits, and then the fodder. So it's coppiced, right, on like a 5-year rotation, and then that gets fed to the rabbits. And then also growing a bunch of honey locusts as an overstory, and that's also on a pollard rotation. And both of those trees have extremely dense wood, so it makes really good firewood as well, like really, really dense wood, like super high BTU wood. And then the honey locust is a nitrogen fixer, so it sequesters atmospheric nitrogen and sends it down into its roots, where some bacteria that live in the rhizosphere, that means that's the root zone, they have a symbiotic relationship with the tree, and so they're able to fix atmospheric nitrogen into a bioavailable form in the soil, and then that benefits the plants around those nitrogen fixing trees. And one mature honey locust tree can make 200 plus pounds of pods in a year, and those are nutritionally similar to oats. So those get fed to rabbits as well, and the fodder and the leaves can also get fed to rabbits. And then we're also growing some Albizia julibrissom, also called mimosa, as a overstory, another nitrogen fixer. The rabbits really seem to enjoy that. Linden or basswood, right?
Yeah.
It's another overstory, and that makes nectar for bees. I only just got into linden like a year ago, so we're pretty new to that. So all those get pollarded. So you have this overstory that gets cut, and you leave a pole, a trunk, yeah, that's like 8 feet tall, so that when it does bud out, it buds out at the top of that stump, and it casts shade over your head and over the tea plants, and really helps to temper the climate, keep it from getting too hot, you know. Bamboo is our windbreak on the west side of the property. That's where the wind comes from. We have a rhizome barrier to keep that in place, and bamboo is relished by rabbits again. So all this stuff can get fed to rabbits, and because bamboo is an evergreen, you don't need hay in the winter. You just feed them the bamboo leaves, right? That's very convenient. And then another evergreen that we feed them in the winter is silverberry, evergreen Elaeagnus. So Elaeagnus is the genus. This is there's like 21, 24 species, something like that, in that genus. And we cut that in the winter. It's a nitrogen fixer, high in protein, and feed that in the winter to the rabbits. So there's this like rabbit fodder guild that's used for raising the rabbits that we eat, and then their poop goes to the tea plants, and then that's a cash crop, and of course we drink it. So it's not like a super like calorically productive system, but it is very productive, right? Mm-hmm. So what it does produce is great. Oh, and hazelnuts, there's hazelnuts here. Those are doing really well. And I'm a beekeeper. Yeah. So yeah. That's the gist of it. Yeah.
Man, this is a couple years ago, came upon a statistic of the amount of nectar that a linden tree produces.
It's
in
astronomical.
comparison to, like, I don't know if it was an acre or 2 acres or like 10 acres. It was like one tree is equivalent to a lot of flower space.
I think it's a quarter acre, I think, of wildflower. I believe that's correct. I could be wrong about that. Yeah, for a linden. Yeah, dude, if you want to help bees, attention listeners, if you want to help the honeybees, plant linden trees. If everyone planted a fucking linden tree in their yard, the world would be a different place, dude.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah. Can't see it from this perspective, but there's a linden tree kind of right over there.
Awesome.
And here pretty soon it'll start to flower, and the bees. Yeah. I mean, it's like walking underneath
blows
it
up.
It's like boom,
yeah,
massive vibration.
And you can eat the leaves raw. You can use it in lieu of lettuce in salad, and they taste great raw. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Very useful
Hmm.
plant.
Yeah. One thing I've observed in the 23 years that we've known each other is your willingness to constantly experiment.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Like you're constantly experimenting with something.
Yeah.
Um, and I was really touched by the sense of like by you saying the first 10 years was just wrought with failure.
Yeah. That's all it was.
And I'm trying to find the question in there, like, how have you found failure to be such a powerful agent of you learning? And what have you had to encounter in yourself to be willing to fail?
Let me address the first half of that first. I think it was maybe Buckminster Fuller. I think I heard this quote from Daniel Schmachtenberger. I met him the other day, by the way. We'll get into that in a second.
Nice.
I think Buckminster Fuller said something like, when we're failing, we know that we're operating right at the edge of what's possible. Okay. It means that we're starting to pierce into uncharted territories, realms that haven't really been explored yet. Right. And so when we're dealing with something that is as initially inaccessible and kind of abstract as forest gardening to the Western mind, you're absolutely going to fail. There's no way to really develop any expertise in this realm without just being just flopping right out the gate, right? Floundering hard. You're going to, because you have to think in ways that are so alien and novel to the colonial mind,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
And that's not something that they talk much about in the how-to books, because it's just, I think it's just too esoteric and weird, right? But if you persevere, if you can get through that 5-10 year bottleneck and just keep going, you will understand that. You'll understand the importance, the necessity of failure, right, in order to decondition the mind and start to really develop that eye of that eye to see the interconnected, the dependent origination, as they call it in Buddhism, of reality, the web-like architecture of phenomena of reality. Yeah.
Mhm.
And the second question you had, Darren, was what in myself? What did you
Yeah,
say?
did you have to encounter?
Yeah. So that's harder for me to answer. Um,
I mean, you kind of answered it in your first response. You know, the colonial mind.
yeah. Yeah. You don't even know it's there until until you get like your head above water for a second. You're like, I can't believe I've been seeing that big of a veil has been over my face for that long. You don't know it's there. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
It's like really big, thick blinders. That's your whole reality, and you just can't see out of it until you start to punch through that veil. Little bits of light start to come through. You know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I want to no, go for it, bro.
regarding the failure thing, uh, I think also just to just be straight up, I think I'm just kind of I don't take myself very seriously, Darren, as you've noticed. And I think I think that helps a lot. And I've been that way my whole life. It helps a lot with just being able to just flounder and just not feel bad about it. You know,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm just wired like that,
Yeah.
as you were
Yeah.
saying.
I'm just going back in memory and gosh, maybe 15 years ago, 18 years ago, somewhere in that ballpark, um, going out to the forest garden. And at that time was a hard packed red clay,
Yeah.
um, mostly pine, so
Yeah.
acidic,
Yeah. That's it.
um, and very minimally. I mean, it's like I have maybe a couple hours of touch in once a year during that time, of you building swales
Uh-huh.
and perhaps me like hoofing a log or two up the hill. Um, but going there now is like a Garden of Eden.
Yeah, jungly.
And what's remarkable is the amount of water that is not running off
Yeah,
anymore,
yeah.
but is being brought down into the ground. And I think at one point, correct me if I'm wrong, at one point when you had terraced or built swales down the slope, all of a sudden a spring started emerging at the
And
bottom of the property.
a ephemeral spring right after a big deluge. Ephemeral, yes, but that does happen now when it rains. If we get a 2-inch downpour, dude, for the next couple of days, there'll be this seep that forms at the bottom of the hill. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
proof is in the pudding, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing, man. It's amazing to go there and just see how the land was healed.
Yeah,
Was healed.
totally.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's kind of one of my like paramount points of my what at this point I kind of feel like my life's work is to kind of point at some very important insights that I would like people to see. That's more important than anything. And
Sure.
one of those things I'm trying to point at is that humans are a keystone species. You know, we are healers as much as we are destroyers. It's just that our brains are contaminated with bad ideology at present. When I say we, I mean the dominant culture on Earth, right? It's like a cordyceps has infected our brains and we just like lost it, But we are, we're not good, we're not bad, but we sure are capable of doing good when we have the proper tools and proper ideology or freedom from bad ideology, once the mind has been deconditioned. We're capable of doing so much good, which isn't to say that humans are good, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in some way, the way that I've framed what you're saying is we're a caretaker species.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
It's believed that much of the new world, when Whitey showed up, it was something like a giant forest garden. Like it's believed that the Amazon, for instance, is a forest garden.
Sure. I've heard
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some radical I theories that the
Yes.
Amazon was a giant forest garden
Yeah.
planted by people a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've
Yeah.
heard that there was cities made of clay or something down there, like clay, like cob buildings and stuff. And when the European diseases spread through those communities of people, there wasn't the bodies to maintain all that infrastructure, and being clay, it just washed away. But how true that is, I don't know. I haven't studied the historicity of those claims.
Right. 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 Well, when I hear you talk, it's like everything you're speaking about in your relationship with the land and where you are has also had an enormous influence on your internal
Yep.
relationship with yourself, with your mind, with your consciousness. And I would say in a way that is reciprocally healing.
Yep. Bingo. You got it. There's like a flywheel effect that takes place, a
Yeah.
feedback loop,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Yeah. And that, again, that's one of the things I'm trying to point at is that, you know, via regenerative design, via regenerative gardening, forest gardening, whatever we want to call it, you can heal a lot of the, what trauma that colonization, that reductionist thinking has inflicted on us. You can decondition the mind, and then you can see more clearly to do better work in the landscape, that your place that you are. right? And then it does better. It's more beautiful. You're more nourished, and you just have this fucking snowball effect that takes place, dude. It really is a revolution that starts to unfold, you know.
Right. Right.
And your
Right.
concept of what you are, I'll speak for myself. My concept of what I am has completely changed. What the self is and what the environment is, you know. The line between those things is very blurry now.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What questions come up for you um, in that realm of that blurry line? Like, what questions are you asking yourself these days? And what questions get touched when you begin to explore where's the line between me and the place that I live?
So that going down that rabbit hole, that I believe leads me to, well, it leads me to questions uh like I asked the other day, what is nature?
Yeah.
So what am I? What am I? What is nature? What is good? Can we really, really clearly, even more clearly, like I use this word beauty, like can I articulate that with different terms or in different ways so that it can be unpacked better for myself, for the people around me? Essentially, that pondering, that line of inquiry that you're pointing towards, it results in me really trying to put pen to paper and say, what is most good? What do we want to become? What do we want to want? What should we be doing? Right? You know, if because a conditioned mind is like, well, I want candy bars and I want drugs and I want money because there's this I in the way, right? And you want to feed that thing. It's hedonic, narcissistic. But when that I starts to erode and you're like, where is that I and where is its boundary or what is it? The questions like, well, what is good for me starts to change, right? Or like, yeah, exploring what is good for me starts to change as that boundary of the self becomes broader and bigger. Yeah, more encompassing, right?
Yep.
Because what's good for me 20 years ago might have been to cut down the tree and make $100 off the lumber, right? Whereas now it's like, wait a minute, that that's my organ, that's an organ of my body, and I'm an organ of that tree, So the relationship changes and one's values change. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I watched this film recently called The Eternal Song. It just got released. Um, and it is definitely in the arena of what we're talking about.
Okay.
It highlights several indigenous peoples from many of the continents in the world, and their relationship with the land and how their identity is bound with place.
Yeah.
And when I hear you speaking of the the kind of like multitudes of who we are,
Yes.
I hear an ecological self.
Yeah.
Um, I hear that the land has taught you this in language that I would use is like a many to many relationship.
Yes.
That relationship it's not like Darren or Tony in relationship with the land. It's like
Right.
the I don't know how to put it into words, like the multitude, the ecological part of me, the many ecosystems inside of me
Yes.
is in relationship with the multitudes of the place where I live.
Yes.
And that to me is a critical ingredient to the formation of a true culture.
Boom. That's it. Yes. It's foundational. Absolutely foundational.
Yeah.
Or
So
you
what's
have a simulacrum of culture. It's not a real culture. Yes. Proceed.
so what, but framing clumsily like I just did, what would you say that our culture is today, or so-called culture?
Uh, Let me answer that in just 1 second. And I want to kind of, just so that we know how on the same page we are, I want to frame up what you had just said clumsily. I don't think it was clumsy, but let me articulate it in a maybe another way. I think we're 99% saying the same thing, maybe 100%. But the way that I think I would describe what you were just saying, assuming that I properly understood it, is universe. We say, what is the universe made out of? As if it's made out of things. I propose that universe is made of relationship. Relationship
Yeah,
is primary. And what we call things are nodal points in all of this relationship, something like that. What we call things are outgrowths of this fabric that is made of relationship. Yeah. Yeah.
yep,
Okay. All right. Your question was, what is our culture?
yeah, yeah,
What culture?
exactly. Our so-called culture.
What is it? Well, I mean, I'm going to talk some hard shit right now, you know?
Yeah, let it
So,
rip,
all
man.
right. So
Yeah,
I can use some words to describe some pejoratives. I can use some words to describe what it is like. Uh, it's, it's narcissistic. It's hedonic. It's suicidal. It's very unhappy. Yeah.
mhm.
And, uh, hopefully this doesn't sound arrogant for me to be saying this, but people, because I've had at least some moments of profound joy now at this point in my life, I can say that people don't understand what they're missing. You know what I mean? Again, we have this fucking veil comprised of bad ideology, or that is has grown out of bad ideology. It's blinding us. And if people haven't even glimpsed, deconditioned states of mind, real joy, real selflessness, what that feels like. Yeah. Not that I'm the most selfless person in the world, but I've had moments of what that feels like, glimpses into it. Yeah, if people haven't had a taste of that, they don't know what they're missing, which is why I keep coming back to this point that my life's work is to just try and try and do what little I can with the abilities I have to just try and evoke some moments like that for the people around me. That's really what the forest garden is, man. It's like a poem that you walk into, or a painting that if
Yeah,
I'm doing it right, I can finally say what I've been trying to say, and that's evolving as I'm working, right? What I'm trying to say, and without having to say anything, you know, allow those moments of beauty, of deconditioning, of joy, just evoke organically in people, just arise spontaneously. So I don't have much to say about our culture, Darren. It's suicidal.
suicidal.
It doesn't
Yeah,
have to be that way. you know we're feeding this thing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's so many words I can throw at our so-called culture as well. I mean,
Yeah.
typically I'll be like, well, we're not actually a culture because I mean, I've tinkered with the ideas of culture for so long that there's so many different doorways I can walk through to try to define it.
Yes.
But culture in in the context we're talking about it, one definition is like it's a substrate of which is conducive to life growing.
Good. Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
we're not in that.
Oh
Um,
no. No, no, no.
it's
We're heading in
actually
the other
quite
direction.
in the other
Antithetical.
direction.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's
Yeah,
cancerous.
yeah, yeah, parasitic. Um, and
Yeah, parasitic.
so, you know, with that said, um, I'm gonna find the question here that I was hunting down. Um, I tend to call our so-called culture an industrial society based upon purely an extraction.
That's it.
But in another way, the symptom that plays out in humans is a profound homelessness,
Yes. We've been orphaned.
completely alienated
Yes. That's it. Yes. Nail on the head.
from where people live.
Yeah.
I mean, taking a walk down a path. If I took a walk from where I am now, 100 feet, um, there are thousands of relationships that
Mhm.
can be built
Yes.
through my
Yep.
curiosity,
Yep.
through my observation, um, through
Yep.
my questions. And most of the time, I see people in a vacuum of their own selves. It's
Yeah.
like, where are you?
Yeah.
Like, you're
Yeah.
not here.
No.
Like,
Divorced
you're not
from the
here.
body. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I know. Yeah. The
So,
cordyceps is steering the ship. The bad ideas, you know? Yeah.
yeah, and it's heartbreaking
Mm-hmm.
um, to witness, to be part of that, to encounter my own ways that I block off connection to
Mm-hmm.
life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and you and I can probably talk for the rest of the day about this,
Mm-hmm.
um, and may or may not be exciting for listeners to hear something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and yet, it's important to say that we are completely divorced from from our homes, from our planet, from ourselves as consequence.
Yes.
And and
Yes.
so I'm curious, like some of those points that you're touching right now that you want to point out, like what is it that people can do today? What is it people can do now um, to begin to decondition themselves from this profound, as Charles Eisenstein would say, this story of separation?
Yeah. Okay, let me give you an extremely uh concise. I have two answers. I'm gonna give you a really kind of concise and probably surprising answer that I think will probably sound funny to most people. And then I'll give you another one. Lift weights. No joke. Straight up, dude. Get fucking jacked, dude. People are very unmoored from the body. And anything that we can do, pick up fucking rocks and just walk around with them. Just do something physical that's hard, you know? Yeah, that can allow you to build strength and deal with discomfort, you know? Get in some cold water like
Yeah.
you do, you know? But yeah, straight up, dude, get
Yeah.
jacked, lift weights. Okay. Now I'm more that's I'm serious, but now another
Well, one thing I hear you saying in that is like get in your bodies.
that's it. Yes, which you can do with Vipassana, but most people don't want to fuck with that. So it's like, well, pick up some dumbbells, dude. It's a start. It's a start. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And from that start, you can, big things can grow. So what I want people to do, if they're interested, find a tree or some trees within walking distance of where you live that you really like. Learn as much as you can about that tree or trees. For brevity, we'll just say tree. So learn as much as you can about that tree. Look at it every day if you can. Every single day, look at that tree and see what's new on it as it's growing or going dormant. Research it. Study that tree through a scientific lens. Get to know it, but also get to know it just in a more corporeal way, smelling it, tasting it, right? Touching it. And learn how, if this is applicable, learn how to grow that tree from seed and do that. Grow some progeny, grow one tree from that tree. And if it's not conducive, then find another one that's easier to grow in the neighborhood. That one practice, I swear to God, can change your fucking life, dude.
Mhm.
Pulling a seed off of a tree and growing a tree, from said seed, and getting it big enough that you can climb up into it and sit in it. That is an amazing experience. It's like, dude, it's like a fucking 10-year LSD trip. It really changes how you see the world, man. You know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. What else?
What else? Get to know, go outside, get an umbrella and get some galoshes. Go outside when it's raining, like when the soil's pretty wet and there's runoff, and take your little umbrella and your little galoshes and go out and explore the water courses in your place where
Mm,
you live. Get to know your watershed, how that works. And it's really going to change how you see and feel and relate to the landscape that you are a feature of, right? And this is like version 2.0 would be maybe, given that you're a keystone species, you can find ways to sequester some of that water in your landscape, digging rain gardens or swales, but that's more than most people want to do, and they don't have to do that, but if you want to, that could be a really cool thing, because you can really green up a landscape by starting to catch and hold some of that rain, stormwater runoff in the landscape. So yeah, get to know the water in your place.
mhm.
And really, I mean, this is just kind of a broad tip, just try and observe how many different plants are growing around you. Right? Because I think a lot of people, maybe they just kind of see plants growing and it's like, well, look at the leaves on that one. Are they the same as the one next to it? See if you can see all the subtle differences between all these plants. They're probably different plants, and get to know them,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it's an exercise that can elicit a lot of connection,
Sure. Sure. Break down the quote unquote wall of green and bring it
Yes,
some dimensionality
that's it.
and
Yeah, there you
travel.
go.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to change directions just a little bit.
Oh, wait, here's another one. Hold on.
Yeah.
If you have a lawn, if you own property and you have a lawn, or if you have a landlord that's cool, take like a 10 by 10, 100 square foot section of your lawn and stop mowing it and just see what happens and watch that over the years. Watch what happens. I think that's a cool exercise for people.
Hmm.
Free. It's free, you know.
Yeah, you probably save money.
You probably save money. Maybe there's some
You
food
know,
that'll pop up.
back in the day, gosh, I mean, this was probably when we were in college. You were like, Darren, you got to read the One Straw Revolution.
That's it, baby. Yeah.
And if I could say one of the premises of that book is actually do less.
That's it. Yes, which it took me 10 years of trying and failing to get that fucking lesson learned, dude. In that window after I just accepted failure and finally decided to sit on my hands, what I'm describing as passive torpor or whatever, observational torpor, whatever the fuck I just said. It's in that doing less when you can actually begin to learn, you know.
Yeah, and you know, there's the monocrops of what's becoming the world now.
Yeah.
But for me, the way that I would frame it is that when there is like three or more species growing in relationship, then
Mhm.
something magical happens,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the only it's like all of a sudden flow begins.
Yeah. Emergence starts to take place. It is like magic. Yeah.
It's like magic. Like
Yeah.
all of a sudden there's
It's like complexity,
communication.
critical mass.
Yeah, yeah, say more about that.
Yeah, I can say a lot about that, which brings me to another really important point that I want to, teach people, assuming that I can find the right words and time and live long enough. So in permaculture, we have this, if you I've never gone to a permaculture certification class, permaculture design certification course. Of course,
Mm,
probably everyone listening to this podcast has heard of such a thing. So in those courses, as far as I know, you walk away having like designed on paper a garden, a forest garden or whatever. I don't know that much about it, but permaculture is very, very design centered, which is good to an extent. But the point I'm trying to make here, and it's a difficult one because there's a lot of nuance to it, and it can also come off as like shitting on permaculture, which I don't mean to do. Um, Okay. Okay. Here's how I'm going to say it. The design for the site is embedded in the site. You don't impose the design, you discover it in time. Did that make
Uh-huh.
sense? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what you were just talking about, that magic that happens once you get to like 3 species. So all this emergence starts to unfold and you start to see like all this potential and really have a corporeal, intimate understanding of the, for want of a better term, the mechanics or magic of that site, right? Um, you're not going to find that on paper. You can't read a book and design that. It happens organically, spontaneously, emergently. And so your job is to approximately design some stuff on paper. There are some things you really do have to design on paper, and then set that aside and stop looking at it and be open and receptive to what is alive and unfolding right before your eyes, and guide
Right.
that process, foster that process. You must be in service to emergence as it's happening, and have the develop the that sixth sense to see it and recognize these phenomena when they're evolving around you or as you, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. And that to me really touches this place of culture being something that emerges locally.
Yes. Bioregional.
Yeah, it's
And
bioregional.
it's not planned. You can't build a culture. You watch it grow and you respond,
Exactly.
right? You can sow seeds and you can kind of nudge things here and there, but you need to be in service to that process as it's happening. You don't impose it, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
This is one of my qualms when people say like, well, what are the solutions, right? And they want these scalable industrialized solutions. And I say, I don't want to talk about solutions. I want to talk about beautiful responses, right? Because we don't
Mm.
we don't solve the future. We uh, as I just said, sow the seeds for something to happen, right? We don't engineer
Yeah.
the future.
Yeah. You know, I experience it a lot in my work in healing, in Vision Quest work, when people show up, which is rare because it's just rare for someone to want to hurl themselves out into the wilderness and fast
Yeah,
and not be willing to confront this industrial mind. But when people do show up and they want it to look a certain way,
yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
their their healing becomes a little bit more like self-improvement than healing.
Yeah.
Um, and a phrase that I've often used is if I'm doing my job well, I'm just creating the conditions
Mhm. That's it. Yep.
for the healing to occur, or the
Yep.
vision to come,
Mhm.
or the epiphany to guide you. It's in, and I try to impress that upon them to just create the conditions.
Yes. Right.
And maybe that's openness, maybe that's observation, maybe that's deep surrender,
Yes.
maybe that's moments of profound focus
Yes.
and then deep letting go.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
how do
Yeah.
those two dance together? Profound focus and profound letting go.
Yeah. They seem contradictory, right?
Yeah, but it's I mean that even you using that word of contradiction
Yeah.
is so embedded in the teachings that I've been exposed to the last 20 plus years with Tom Brown.
Right.
And then later wilderness fusion and everything in between. That contradiction is necessary for awareness to occur.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I also hear you speaking about something in and again, this is my language, like the ability to dance with mystery.
Hmm.
And that is scary as hell for a lot of people. It's
I know.
scary for the industrial mind.
Yes. Yeah. People want certainty. It ain't
You know,
there.
it's
Yeah.
and I recently touched something that I thought was pretty cool in myself of a question of what if we can replace certainty with repetition? In other words, what if we can lean into the seasons,
Yeah.
the repetition of the seasons, instead of the certainty of what we want to happen next season? Does that make sense?
I once heard a person, Joseph Goldstein, a renowned meditation teacher, he was quoting a friend of his that said, something about how one can find like security or comfort or stability or something by leaning on impermanence, right? That everything is changing, and you can rely on that, right? You can observe that day in and day out. Does it at all parallel that concept at all?
Um, yes and no. I'm thinking a little bit more ecological,
Okay.
like the the repetition of a sunrise.
Yes.
What if
Oh,
what if we can lean into our conscious connection with the repetition of a sunrise? Does that allow us to let go of our desire for certainty?
yeah. Cycles. Yeah.
Cycles.
Yeah. I have never pondered this before.
Because think about it, the industrial mind is
Yes.
constantly seeking more, better, and different, constantly seeking the novel.
Yes, it is. You're right. Without
I
a
mean,
doubt.
where does repetition occur in that?
Yeah.
I mean, it does,
Yeah.
but I'm going at it a different way.
Yeah. Well, the repetition would be like repeated effort or something over a cliff.
Exactly.
Repeated steps over a cliff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a new thing I'm stumbling upon and
Okay.
trying to articulate.
Yes.
So it's not that well,
Yeah.
the edges aren't that well defined, but
It
it
seems like
makes
it
it
seems like there's a there there. It seems like it.
there's a there
Yeah, I think
there.
you're onto something, is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
Keep
because
going in that direction.
I mean when I think about a lot of ritual, when I think about mythology, when I think about stories, even one story, there is something that'll happen multiple times.
Okay.
Repetition feels essential to let go of our certainty.
Okay.
Whereas repetition in the industrial age is to grasp towards certainty,
Hmm. Yeah.
as
Clinging.
opposed to let go
Yes.
of our
Yes.
certainty.
Yes.
Think
Uh-huh.
about meditation. I don't know
Yes.
meditation like you do, but the
Uh-huh.
repetition of the basic form of following the breath.
So I was just going to bring that up, actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'd love to hear
That's
your
it.
thoughts.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's about all I had to say is this analogous to, or where does the the profoundly, at times monotonously repetitive practice of following the breath? We're just observing the sensation, whatever that one is, right? Yeah. Talk about repetitive, dude. You know? Yeah, it sounds like it's in the same vein of what you're talking about.
Yeah. Are you still meditating daily?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I have more bad days than I do good days, but I keep doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
How
like it
long?
most days, but I still do it. You know? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tony, you had a National Geographic show for a period of time.
I was on a show produced by the National Geographic Channel.
What was that like?
Uh it was fun. I got to learn a lot about how that world works. So it was insightful, but not in the way that you and I would typically use the word insight.
Mhm.
Uh it was a good paying job. It's the best paying job I've ever had. And so that was cool. It was really stressful sometimes. It was mostly, if someone was like, sum it up with one word, I'd be like, it was fun. It was pretty fun. You know, it was kind of embarrassing too, because it's like, what a fucking sellout, bro. You know? Yeah, I felt like a sucker, but like I did it anyways, you know? Yeah, some people got kind of mad at me for doing it, and I was like, I don't blame you. You know, it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I helped sell slots to advertising slots to car commercials. That's what I did. That was my job. To car companies, rather. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of the, it's among the higher quality reality TV shows, which is not saying much, you know, because the bar is so low, you know what I mean? But we did pretty good. It was pretty, it was a beautiful, like visually beautiful production at times. We worked with some really, really good cameramen who really knew what the fuck they were doing. And so we made some pretty stuff. It was nice. Yeah, I don't know. It's not for everybody.
No, but as a friend,
Thankfully.
it was really fun to tune in occasionally, or randomly, if I was somewhere where there was a TV, and
And
see if
see
I
it.
could tune in, watch my buddy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. 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 I would frequently get text messages from friends, like, you know, walking through an airport or at a hotel or something, and they'd see me on the screen and send me a picture and be like, man, that's really weird. That is
It's
pretty fucking
so
weird, dude. You know?
yeah, totally.
Super weird.
So just to circle back, what are some of the deeper questions you're asking these days about the forest garden and your relationship to it?
Okay, so probably more in the vein of the latter question, my relationship to it. So uh a lot of questions have been coming up. I'd say over the past year, like a lot of question around what, if we had to articulate it in words, which we're doing right now, how would we explain the colonial worldview? What is that? And notice how I framed that up. I said, what is the colonial worldview, instead of saying, well, what's the indigenous worldview? Because it's kind of, this happened just the other day, 2 days ago or something, conversing with a friend. It kind of, cropped up that it's really more important to explain what is colonialism, what is the colonial worldview, because, when you ask the question, let's say, what is indigeneity, 100,000 years ago, you couldn't even frame that question.
Right.
Right. And so it's like, well, wait, no, then the question is, what is this new worldview that we call colonialism, modernity, reductionism, right? Reductionist thinking, the enlightened worldview, right? So I've really, really been wanting to put pen to paper, so to speak, and explore that. It's obviously, especially in a town like Asheville, a politically sensitive thing, if you're a white guy, to talk about. And it's like, how can I do that in a way that's really constructive and, doesn't seem like I'm just trying to ruffle feathers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. That's a question I've been chewing on. I have a
Yeah.
concise answer that is a start. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, let it rip.
So first of all, colonialism is okay, let's say a colonialist is a person who sees the world through a particular lens. That being has a particular worldview. Okay. And I would just simply articulate it as It's a fragmented worldview. It's the misconception that universe is made of separate things, that it's a place with things in it. And you're one of those things. And as we articulated earlier, as we were exploring earlier, it's alienating. The colonialist just feels like an alien, a visitor,
Yeah.
an
A
orphan.
visitor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
someone.
Or in John Young's world, a tourist.
There you go. That's it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, a tourist. You're buying experiences, buying houses and buying food and buying ore and buying things, consuming. Tourist.
And passing through.
Passing through and just leaving some garbage while you pass through. Yeah, just consuming experiences, being served as opposed to building and contributing and growing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
I mean,
that,
what I hear you saying is it's a consciousness.
yes, that's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It's incredibly edgy
I
terrain
know.
to unpack.
I know. Yeah. And speaking of which, let me interject something right now that's very important so that no one sound bites that and is like, this guy's a piece of shit. I think that there is a time and a place where we do have to clearly articulate indigeneity and indigenous people.
Yeah.
And that's in law, right? So for instance, there are still, they're contacted, but we call them uncontacted people, like in the Amazon, or maybe one group in Papua New Guinea still. So regarding international law, it is paramount that we define what is indigeneity and what are the rights that surround those beings and that ecosystem that they are a feature of, right? Not just protecting indigenous people, but the whole fucking package, the whole old growth organism, right? That we call the forest, right? That those people are a feature of, right?
Mm.
That's where it's really important to hammer it out, in a very real way,
Sure. Sure. Yeah, I mean, when you say old growth, and I also think about the forest garden, there is knowledge and wisdom being built up that actually can be um, passed down, that is
Yes,
visible, that is
yes,
tangible.
tangible. You can taste it. Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
to me, I mean, I'm kind of branching out a little bit, but that is a signature quality of a genuine culture.
That's it. Yes, yes. That there's the potential for intergenerational transmission to occur.
Exactly.
Both knowledge, genetics, soil, livelihood. It can be moved from me to a young person. We're
Yeah,
pretty much there, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of room to go, a lot of room for development, but the inklings, right? It's coming into focus. It's starting to happen.
Sure,
Yeah. Yeah.
sure. Um, there's a friend of ours, maybe you don't know him quite as well, Joe Bob.
Yeah.
Um, I hope to talk to him pretty soon on the podcast, and he is, um, I would say he lives certain teachings um, better than anyone I know, particularly coming down the line and lineage of Gurdjieff and the Fourth
Oh,
Way.
okay.
Yeah, and so I don't think Joe Bob came up with this phrase, but it came from that line, and he shared it with me. Was and he always used to tell me this, and nearly every time I talk to him, he'll hammer me with these teachings, and he says, Darren, don't seek the truth, seek the lies, and what will remain is the truth.
Ah, okay. That's good. Okay. Yeah. Right. Because the truth is just there. It's just like blah 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 blah, just right in front of your face, you know? You know what I mean? Yeah. Our job is to bushwhack the bullshit out of the way
Yeah,
so that you can see it.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Take the
And
blindfold
then
off.
the truth doesn't become a thing.
Right. Yes. It just is.
It is.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I hear that in you saying like um, wanting to understand what the colonial mind is,
Yeah.
and then what will remain
Yes.
after that.
Yes. That's what I mean when I say deconditioned mind, deconditioning, right?
Right. Right.
Decolonizing.
Yeah.
What remains after that?
Yeah. 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 And that colonizing mind, I mean, it began a long time ago.
Yeah, like
It,
agriculture. What are we talking about here? Hmm?
uh, agriculture, but through these big waves of one group of people taking over another.
Mm, okay.
Um,
Okay.
and I would say one of the biggest consequence or one of the qualities and one of the first ones is to separate people from the land, from their land, from their language,
Yes.
from their mythos, from
Yes. Yes.
um, all of the tendrils of a culture that brings people into relationship with where they live.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, it happened extensively in North America. When colonization hit the native peoples was they moved them hundreds, sometimes thousands of miles away from their home.
Yes. Who was left after the genocide? Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And so to me, the biggest message I'm hearing you share and what I feel passionate about as well is the place to begin is the place where you live now.
Bingo. That's immediately. Yes. With the body right now. Yes.
Yeah.
Come back home.
Yeah. Yeah. Come back
Mm-hmm.
home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're all, we can all do that, you know?
Yeah. And there's so many, and I'm going to use the word tricks, but there's so many tools or tricks we can use these days to remind us to be back in connection. You know, um, I haven't done this, but I know of people that have that they'll put alarms on their phone every hour. And when the alarm goes off, where am I?
Yeah.
Which way is the wind blowing? What birds are
Okay.
singing right now?
Yeah. That's cool.
What what plants are catching my attention?
Yeah.
Am I focused on my breath?
Mm-hmm.
Am I consciously breathing? Am I having, I mean, Robert Bly, men's work guy, passed away a couple years ago, really on a massive scale initiated men's work in beginning in North America and then
Okay.
I would say nearly worldwide, certainly in Western nations. He either spoke this or it's in a poem about the generosity of the trees that we get to go on breathing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even in that act is this reciprocity.
Yes. That's it.
Even bringing our awareness to our breath and the trees
Yes.
can completely alter our psychology in a moment.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, Tony, what projects are you working on right now?
Right now, at this very moment, there's just finished picking tea. Just made a batch that was kind of bitter, which I was really disappointed about. And I don't know why it was bitter. So kind of a project that's going on in the back of my head is like, why was that batch bitter? You need to figure that out. So
Was it
talking to
high in tannins? Are
I
the
don't
tannins what make
maybe
it bitter?
fuck,
Bitter?
I don't
Yeah.
know, dude. I'm such a novice with this stuff, dude. You know, and it's like
Yeah.
there's not a lot of people to turn to ask these questions. You know, we're not in China, so it's hard to find, you know, there are no experts in this field that I have access to, right?
Right.
Yeah. So again, be prepared for failure, Tony. You know, it's just, you know, this is how we
Hmm.
learn. Just failing forward. So, anyways, that's a thing. Yeah. And then uh continuing to plant more tea, planting out more tea. And I'm getting ready to graft another batch of queen bees. So I've recently gotten into, I've started to get good enough at what's called queen grafting to, I have had enough success in that department that I can actually like really start doing that with some degree of confidence, knowing that I'm going to get some queens out of it. But I have some neighbors who are beekeepers and they want queens from me because they want to switch over to treatment-free beekeeping. And you know, they treat with oxalic acid, and they want to stop doing that. And they know that if they can get my queen bee, or the queen bees that I raise rather, and they can requeen their colonies with those queens, that they will have bona fide mite resistant, disease resistant genetics that they probably won't have to treat anymore. So it'd be really cool if we could create sort of like a little you know, like the forest garden here could be like a little nucleus where there's queen breeding happening. And then if we have a buffer of people around the forest garden keeping bees that are progeny, right, of the forest garden bees, then we have this nice like genetic nuclei with a moat around it, right, for breeding. It's kind of like something that I'm toying with right now, is sort of saturating the neighborhood uh, with the forest garden bees with their genetics. You know, I think that'd be a cool thing. So we're fucking around with that right now. Oh, getting ready to get a load of sand delivered, or what are called what are they called? Fines from the quarry. It's not sand, it's fines from quarrying. And they're going to use that for making cob, for finishing the walls on the rabbit hutch, the big rabbit hutch that I'm building for colony raising rabbits, so they can all run around in there together. Yeah, because I don't like keeping them in cages. It's fucked up. So that's something I'm about to work on, and then finalizing the design on the building that I'm building, the wood shop that I'm building at the top of the hill. That's going to be made out of hempcrete, and finalize the design and get some green lumber delivered so I can sticker it and get it drying in preparation for framing this winter. So got work cut out for me. Just chugging along, slow and steady. Yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
And gosh, where can people learn about you more, have access to your tea? Um, yeah,
So the company is called Red Sun. It's Red Sun Tea. It's going to be Red Sun Agroforestry pretty soon, but it's Red Sun. You can look us up online. You can Google that shit. Find us that way.
do you
And
guys have a website?
yeah, Red Sun has a website. Red Sun Asheville. RedSunAsheville.com. All right. And I fuck around on Facebook a lot. If you want to go on there and hear me talk shit, you can find me on Facebook. Anthony Francis Troia. You can find me on there. Make friends with me if you want to. And I say some nice constructive stuff too, Darren. I write some stuff like that. What we've been talking about this whole time. I write about stuff like that frequently, just to try and. I use Facebook like some sort of weird like sociological experiment where I'm just like, okay, here's something that I'm thinking about. Let me think out loud in front of my friends and have them critique what I have to say. And it's really helping me to refine my thinking, right? Because I have
Sure.
some really smart Facebook friends, way smarter than me, and they can really tear apart my arguments and help them to become more resilient and robust, you know, my lines
Yeah.
of thinking, you know, it's a beautiful thing. I really like social media. Uh, yeah, that's where you can. Oh, hey, check it out. Let me also mention this. There's a fucking awesome podcast called The Great Simplification, hosted by a guy named Nate Hagens. And if you aren't subscribed to that podcast, go subscribe to it. I'm probably going to be on his podcast pretty soon. He contacted me last week and wanted to talk with me like this to make sure I wasn't too crazy. And it sounded like he wants to have me like on a panel or something, like on one of his
Beautiful.
episodes. Yeah, so it's a really good podcast, man. He has a lot of subscribers and stuff. So anyways, see if I'm on there at some point, folks. Maybe I'll be on there. And it's just a good project for people to know about too. Yeah.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, it's such a joy to drop in with you,
Yeah.
to see you over
Yes,
this
you too, Darren.
medium, to hear your
Yes.
words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Be a little bit more like 5 weeks or so. I'll be out in Nashville. We have
Oh,
plans to
right.
see
Yeah.
each
Okay.
other.
Yes. I'll be here. Yeah.
All right.
This is a cool project you're doing here, man. Thanks for having me be a part of it, dude. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
man,
Yeah.
it's a new endeavor. Um,
Okay.
and
It seems good.
it's been a real joy, and sometimes it's really challenging to be on this side of an interview. Um,
Yeah. Okay. Uh-huh.
like
Totally. Uh-huh.
like I can see like 10, 15 places we can go in the conversation.
Sure.
And
Sure.
I'm like,
I know.
where to go in this
That's it.
moment with with
That's tough,
this.
dude. That's tough. Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be stressful for me. I'd freak out. I'd have a meltdown. Yeah.
So it's really been a joy doing this podcast, and certainly having people that I just deeply respect. Oftentimes we touch the realm of vision in the podcast. Um, and while it was never explicitly spoken of, um, something I've always, I mean, dude, I remember in college one day you just showing up with a pitchfork and making a garden
Yeah.
in like the lawn
I
between
got I got in
buildings.
trouble. That's called vandalism, right?
Totally.
Yeah. 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 That's what's up. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like creating a compost, this massive compost pile, and you started throwing dead chickens into it
That's
to
what's up.
see if the compost was active enough to like
Yeah.
completely decompose a chicken. And it was
Yeah. It
like
was.
in a
Yeah.
short time.
Yeah. That was a hot pile. Uh-huh.
It was
Yeah.
a really, did you almost start a fire with that pile?
Nah, there was some ash because it got so hot, but it didn't, it was too moist to combust. That shit can't happen though, as far as I know. Right? Like
Yeah,
stacked up hay, I think can combust, I think.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just, your ability to have a vision and pursue, I
Yeah.
really deeply respect.
Cool. Thanks,
And
man. Appreciate that.
yeah, I've always witnessed that, and admire you in that. So it's a real joy and pleasure to have you on the podcast, and hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
pick up
Cool.
where we left off.
Yeah. All right.
And yeah, so cool. Check out for the listeners, check out
Re-
redsunteashville.com.
Red Sun Asheville.
Red Sun Asheville. Check it out. Um, yeah, and stay tuned for Tony more and more being out in the world sharing all his wisdom.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Good to talk with you, Tony.
Good talking with you, Darren.